Welcome to the Crow's Nest podcast, the official podcast of Candace Crowe Design. I'm Candace Crowe. The purpose of our podcast is to have conversations with industry leaders, introduce you to people and tools that can make your life simpler and help to grow your practice. In this podcast, we're getting to know Dana Donofree, founder and CEO of Ana Ono Intimates. I'd like to start to introduce her by showing you a short video that features her. Ana Ono is a line of bras and loungewear designed for surgical recovery, radiation therapy, and post-surgery comfort and beauty. Dana's journey has been driven by her personal experience and a commitment to empower individuals through comfortable, beautiful, and inclusive intimate apparel. Ana Ono, designed differently because we are, and different is beautiful. Some of her recognitions include $10,000 award from FedEx and Intuit's Small Business Contest, the American Society of Plastic Surgery, ASPS, Patient of Courage, Female Founders, Inc. 500, and the 2023 Andrea and Abraham Morris Impact Award honoree. We hope you enjoy this podcast. Happy listening. Welcome, Dana. What an amazing journey. How are you feeling right now after listening to me talk about your journey?
I am not good at self affirmations or accolades, so it always just kind of warms my heart to hear it from somebody, because I just work so hard with something I'm so passionate about that I kind of forget, the impact. And I appreciate you, shining a little bright star in my way to congratulate me on all of these things. It means a lot, Candace. Thanks.
Oh, you're so welcome. I connect with you on a creative level. I feel like I would like to start with a little bit of your backstory.
Yeah.
You're a Midwesterner like I am, and you're from Bellbrook, Ohio. You tell me about that.
Oh God. I mean, when you think of a little tiny town in the middle of Ohio with cornfields and football and barbecues, like that was my life growing up. I'm really grateful I got a life like that. I feel like that's not so common these days.
Yeah.
And I have a really beautiful, amazing community of friends and family back in Ohio. And I did fly out of that bird's nest, though, just as quickly and as swiftly as I could. I left the day I turned 18 and graduated high school, and I've never really gone back, but I love going back to visit with my family and friends.
Absolutely, but not everybody from Bellbrook aspires to be a Janet Jackson backup dancer or go to New York for fashion. So you must have, from an early age, had a real creative bent to you.
I started designing and creating since really the moment I can remember. If we were, we always went outside and played, but if it came down to TV time, I was in my room making something, drawing something, sewing something. I was always just creating something with my hands. So it was definitely, it's in my blood.
I think that's just beautiful. And then your relationship with your grandmother, and that she taught you to sew at a very early age. Did she teach you like how to make patterns and buttonholes and put in zippers and the whole of it? Or tell me about that.
Yeah, I was my grandmother was a master tailor. So I feel very grateful that I got to learn at a very young age how to start making clothing. And it was something that I just really loved. And my mom always pretends she was also a tailor. So her and I would make a lot of things at home. And it was really cool, like learning how to do patterns and cutting and sewing. And yeah, the zipper was always the hardest thing to do. To set a zipper is awful, but once you get it, it's a lot of fun. And I do have my friends from high school that remind me that, after a weekend, every day we come back to school on Monday, Dana was always peddling something to sell to her friends. So if it was,
So you were an entrepreneur from the beginning as
I
well.
was,
A
I
risk
guess
taker,
they have
major
all
risk taker. Absolutely.
painstakingly reminded me of those days. Yes.
And then you went to Savannah School of the Arts, or what was?
Savannah College of Art and Design. I went to Savannah College of Art and Design from Ohio. I studied fashion design. I was actually going to do fashion design and photography. I really wanted to be a fashion photographer in all of the magazines and do that part of life. I also toyed a little bit around with the idea of architecture as well. I love math. And I feel like clothing design is architecture, but for us, for people. And so it's where kind of like my creative world and my math world sort of collided together was in this industry. And I spent my years down in Savannah College of Art and Design, and then got myself, a job in the Big Apple.
And you were pretty successful starting out there in fashion in the Big Apple. Tell me about that before age 27. And then we'll get to age 27 here eventually.
I was really fortunate. I had an incredible career. I had done private label work, designed for some pretty major brands. I also dressed a lot of celebrities at a couture fashion house, had designs on front covers of magazines, insides of magazines. I really was lucky. And then we moved from New York out to Colorado, where I was the VP of product design and development for a children's accessories company, and spent most of my career traveling around the world and making beautiful garments that hopefully people would wear and feel proud about.
That's wonderful. And then what happened at age 27?
Yeah, it's kind of weird to say that all before the age of 27.
I
It's been a
know, all
while.
before 27.
It really was, and I was just getting started. Um, at 27, I got the awful phone call from my doctor that told me I had breast cancer, and had no family history, didn't really have an understanding or any association or reality that young women even got breast cancer. It was in 2010. And from there, I was, on the treadmill of doctor's appointments and surgeries and treatment and therapies and all the things that were required. And that was now 14 years ago.
Well, how about that?
Yeah.
And then came Ana Ono
Yes.
and
So
sewing bras at home after your day job. Let's talk about that.
yeah, these two worlds collided in sort of like the weirdest cosmic boom that, I guess as life does, right? And I had undergone my breast reconstructive surgery. I had expanders first, and then I went to implant reconstruction. And throughout that whole process, I was identifying all of these changes with my body, and I didn't have anybody to talk to, so I was really navigating them alone. I called my expanders my SpongeBob Square Tits, and
We need a little icon bounce around the screen now.
I love that.
SpongeBob Square Tits.
Love it, love it. I called them my Build-A-Boobs because
Build a
they look
boobs.
like Legos stacked on top of each other, the way the expanders were done back then. And I sort of said to myself, I understand why I can't fit a square boob into a round bra. That made total sense to me, that, I was going to kind of be in this awkward phase of living and dressing. And then one thing led to the next thing. And I got my implants in. And then I said, oh, wait a minute. No, I can't wear any bras. And my plastic surgeon at the time, did not want me wearing an underwire bra. And finding a bra that's pretty without underwire is just very difficult. Very, very difficult. So was wearing that awful surgical bra for way, way, way too long. Sports bras for way, way, way too long. And I said, I think I'm going to have to do something about it. So I started designing bras that fit my new body.
That's beautiful. And
Yeah.
you sewed them at home after your day job?
Oh man, I would come home from work. I didn't know that this was a problem. I just figured that it must only be me that still wanted to feel pretty after losing my breast to breast cancer. So I started making bras. I was selling them on Etsy at first, and it was pretty quick that I realized that it wasn't just me. There were hundreds of thousands of other patients that wanted to feel good about themselves after these surgeries and didn't have access to do so.
We are a community, aren't we?
Yeah.
All
No.
right, so build a boob. Where did the name Ana Ono come from? I can only guess.
Well, it's a version of me, Dana Donofree, without the double D's.
Yeah, I love that. We still have fun. It's like, life doesn't stop just because you end up with cancer. It may be a great starting point. So
True.
I remember the first time I met you, it was at a American Society of Plastic Surgery meeting in 2017. I was walking by your booth and you were on like my beating path to the coffee or water or something like that. And I was just like really attracted to the fashion and flair of the design of your booth and how you had it put together. And so we started talking and I just simply picked up one of your bras and I sat there just feeling it the whole time we were talking and it was just so smooth. It was like, wow, it was I really connected with you at that point and really want to stay friends and see how we can help each other. But the irony of the whole situation is that last year, I was diagnosed with the same HERS2 positive breast cancer that you had. Little did I know that back then that,
Yeah.
we would have that in common. So I have now had my first experience with compression bras.
Yes.
And I wanted to just show you how lovely they are.
Oh, isn't that a
Just
beauty?
is that a beauty or
Uh-huh.
what? And I
Uh-huh.
want you to also notice this Velcro here, right over the scars,
Mm-hmm.
not quite big enough to take care of any swelling from your lymph nodes that get filled up with fluids and stuff like that. But yet that this is one of them that's available. So we're going to take a look later on some of the models that you have of bras. But let's do that right now. So right now we're going to look at a few photos of some of the bras and l- loungewear that Ana Ono makes. I also want you to notice, these are real patients that have had surgery, have had breast cancer. Notice the nice little clips, notice the nice little feminine touch, and how she celebrates life through her models. So I understand yesterday you had a photo shoot. Can you give me a peek of an insider, like somebody that doesn't do photo shoots every day and doesn't work in fashion? How does that work and how you can get a real beautiful photo from people that aren't trained to model?
Well, I mean, Candace, you kind of just pointed it out, right? When sort of showcasing what it is that we do. And I think that something that we do more than just a bra, more than just helping patients feel good about themselves so they can focus on healing, like rather than just like giving them what they need when they need it. I know, and the people that face this disease know, or chest surgeries know that like feeling like a part of yourself is a part of the process. And in doing that, it was so, so, so important to me that I represented people that were actually undergoing the chest surgeries that we were dressing. Because like, why wouldn't you? If you're going to make and design a mastectomy bra, why are you going to sell a mastectomy bra on a beautiful
On a
model's
Shutterstock
body?
model. Like, oh my God, a Shutterstock model oh, it
Don't
would
do it.
such
Don't
such
do
a
it.
disconnect.
It's such a there's no scars, there's no burns, there's no unevenness, there's no, imperfections. We are not perfect as human beings, but even as a patient, specifically a cancer patient, we have so many things that we have to address. So to see a mastectomy bra on a healthy two-breasted model is incredibly insulting.
There's
Incredibly.
something even deeper than that, Dana. In your photo shoots, I feel like you reach down in there and find their soul,
Yeah.
that the joyfulness of them celebrating their new bodies, not just this cover it up and mask it and get another mammogram and get another
Mhm.
test kind of thing. So just really want to compliment you on that. It's very dear and touching to my heart. So most of our listeners are in the aesthetic industry, and most of them are artists. in one way or another. I feel
100%.
like fashion and art go hand in hand. So what would you like the aesthetic industry to know about your company?
You know, I love that because I feel like because of what we do, like it started with my cancer diagnosis, but we dress all chest surgeries from reconstruction to cosmetic to gender affirming. And I'm really lucky to get to hear these stories from all of these patients with very, very different decision-making abilities and choices that they've done, whether it's a choice required by them because they're diagnosed or a choice that they want because they want to put their lives or their bodies back together. And I think what's so special about that is like, I couldn't agree with you more. Artists. I mean, this work is like the art of the body. And part of the work that the aesthetic community does is equally as important for how that patient feels through that healing process.
And how they're treated while they do, like
Exactly.
having these compression bras available for people right after surgery is huge. I know I came home from the hospital with this ugly one and I used aloe on it and
Oh,
it stains all over, right? And you have to wear that thing for months.
oh, months. And I true because I have been there, you have been there. I know that when I feel good, I am going to heal better.
Yeah,
I get to focus on the things that matter, not the things that are disruptive. It's a
yes,
mind shift inside. You can think, oh my gosh, maybe my boobs aren't as, big as I wanted, or maybe I'm too swollen, or I didn't get the result I wanted, because this is where our brains go right away. But the reality is the body needs to heal. So if you feel good and allow the body to go through its healing process, everybody comes out with a better outcome, because
absolutely.
that is a part of the process. And I love working with plastic surgeons because I feel like they genuinely care about how that patient feels, both
They
physically and
do.
mentally.
They do.
It's so
They're very,
important.
in my opinion, they're compassionate about women and their bodies.
100%. Yeah.
So I understand you've been involved with Project Restore. It's an art show, but I'd love to hear you talk about that just a little bit more.
Yeah, so it is a project co-created with Dr. Bank, Jonathan Bank, and Dr. Ron Israeli of Nibra. And Dr. Bank had a vision of, presenting his patients through photography. And Dr. Israeli had done body casts back decades ago of reconstructed chests. And so those two visions kind of came to life together, and it was all breast reconstructive patients inside the book. But it was really fascinating. There's something interesting about looking at their vision of the patient's body and how it evolves and changes, and us as patients looking back at our bodies and how they have evolved and changed. And it's just this really cool, amazing project where, again, their art coincided with photography and sculpture and fashion and all of these other parts and pieces to tell a really beautiful patient journey and what these bodies really are representative of. And it's all multifaceted.
And we'll include some of those links in the show notes below. Now I would like to talk about New York Fashion Show Week. You've been involved in that since 2017,
Yeah.
and you feature garments using those real breast cancer thrivers, I call them, as models. So we're going to look at a quick little video of that. And I'm going to skip through just a little bit here. So we'll include the whole video in the podcast description below, but I just wanted to have you see a little idea of what the fashion show is all about and how many beautiful bodies are represented. And I now did not know this, but I learned that the definition of naked? Can you go over that for me?
Well, our first show, when I created Ana Ono, I realized that a big part of Ana Ono was that common public didn't actually know what was breast cancer. They didn't know that women were removing their breasts to rebuild them to feel whole again. Like the concept wasn't there. And so when we did our first show, the CFDA, who are the managers of New York Fashion Week, at that point in time, they have since revised it, but a woman's nipples determined nudity. And there was no nudity at New York Fashion Week. So when they said to me, the producer
Oh.
said, "You cannot show any nipples." I said, "Don't worry, you won't see any."
Oh,
Because none of us at our first show had any nipples.
that's too funny.
Yeah, yeah. You got to laugh about it, right? It was a loophole that
Absolutely.
ended
So
up
I want
allowing us to go viral.
Absolutely. So I want to do a little shout out for you. If anyone listening wants to sponsor a portion of the fashion show or a model, please reach out to Dina. We've got all the links below. And if you can't find her somehow, just call me and we'll get you all connected.
I
I
love
want
it.
to
Thank you.
really, really thank you for today, Dana, and we'll stay in touch. How about that?
I love it. And thank you for the work that you're doing. And it was an honor to be here today. So thank you.
Awesome.